Dr. Shaheem de Vries, die hoof van Mediese Noodsdiente van die Wes-Kaapse Regering, kuier vanoggend saam om oor die huidige situasie in die Wes-Kaap met betrekking tot mediese personeel wat vir hulle eie veiligheid vrees te gesels. So good morning and thank you for joining us, Dr. de Vries.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
How many emergency medical workers are actively employed in the Western Cape?
Thanks, Elsa. So at the moment, we have approximately 1,650 staff across the Western Cape. Those are exclusively clinical staff. We do have additional 400 support and communication center personnel.
And did you get an increased number of volunteers since the start of lockdown in South Africa?
Yeah, so our work is slightly more regulated. Volunteers have to comply with a certain profile. So things like PDP, professional driving permits, they need to be registered with the HPCSA. So we rely on a steady pool of volunteers, and over the years we've been managing to maintain that through their commitment. So we have about 120 to 140 volunteers routinely. So it makes it a little difficult to escalate because they need to be registered and so forth. We have looked at our other business units, so like in the call center, we have volunteers step forward to assist there. But as it applies to personnel, not too many now.
And Dr. Shaheem, how many confirmed COVID-19 cases are in the Western Cape today?
So, as you know, with the epicenter, official figures are around about thus far 20,000 confirmed cases and about 10,000 active cases. And so half of those patients have essentially recovered. Within our service, we have approximately 40 personnel that are either in quarantine or in isolation or waiting tests.
I just want to find out, Doctor, after alcohol sales, there was a kind of spike with emergencies. Did you see it as well in the past 3 days?
Yeah, I mean, if you speak to the guys, it happened almost at the same time the shops opened up. We just saw from no incidents on the mountain to suddenly 2 incidents, 3 incidents in a row on motor vehicle accidents. We had at 1.5 what we call entrapment, so significant, seriously motor vehicle accidents in the first day. So absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that's shocking. And how many medical emergencies did you attend this past weekend?
So we attend approximately 1,000 calls a day in 24 hours. So over this weekend, we had about 2,000 in the city and about 4,000 across the province.
A big thing that I really don't understand is people attacking ambulances, and it happens a lot in Gauteng, but I think it happens a lot in the Western Cape as well. Why can't they figure out why? Is it just normal robbers that saw opportunity of stealing cell phones and medical equipment? And the hotspots, maybe discussing in Cape Town hotspots, and why do people do this?
So, I mean, I'm not going to tackle the last one. I think we don't know. I think the reality is an interesting fact is we had 10 incidents during the beginning of lockdown. Most of these were sort of just stone throwing. So people, what we think are youth looking to work for idle hands. But some of them have been quite violent, armed robbery, 1 or 2 of them. I think if over the last 6 years, in my view, it is because we're vulnerable. In many of the communities where we are affected, the vulnerable portions of that community get targeted. And so EMS, and since we have to go everywhere, and when we do go everywhere, we aren't armed, and when we are in your space unarmed, we often distracted by the patients, and so that makes us really easy pickings. over the year, we've had about 16 to 20 attacks, and and as you said, half of them happened during lockdown. What do we do about them? Yeah, and I think that's difficult. I think in terms of what we've been doing is we've been engaging really actively with the community, neighborhood watchers, law enforcement. We try and find platforms to engage with them and explain to them the importance of our work. It's unlikely that we will be attacked on a busy street where the community comes out and supports us. So we've been appealing to communities to, if your neighbor needs an ambulance, put on your lights, put on your neighbor's lights, come out into the road, and be ready so that we don't spend too much time there. One of the drawbacks of trying to address these things is red zones, what we call hotspots or portions of the community that we find we are particularly vulnerable in. So informal settlements where we can't access the patient really closely, areas where police escorts are few, because of the pressures on the police services, where there's poor lighting, where the road conditions are poor. So there's a host of things that gets sort of added to that. And so under those conditions, we rely on either our city law enforcement or SAPs to escort us. We ask staff to be hyper-vigilant, and we try and build relationships with those communities. But it is a significant problem. I would have thought it was probably one of our biggest problems, and then COVID happened. So yeah, but it's ongoing.
Yes.
Even amidst all the pressures that COVID is, we still have to be concerned about staff safety.
Dr. Shaheem, thank you so much indeed. Dit was dan
Thanks
Dr.
very
Shaheem
much.
de Vries en hy is die hoof van Mediese Noodsdiente van die Wes-Kaapse Regering.
Ja, kyk, ek weet ook, as jy nou dink ek weet as jou neefie of iemand, gee hom aan. Dis seker die laagste vlak van misdaad vir my, behalwe nou vermoord. Dis net, ek kan nie dink jy val hierdie mense aan tot jy in die moeilikheid is en jy moet gehelp word. Dis absoluut siek.